Welcome to the CameraX session at SDC 2019. We are very excited to bring this session today. We have engineers from Samsung and product manager from Google to give you technical details on CameraX and to show you how easy it is to develop camera applications for Android and Samsung devices. I am Mamadgi. I'm an engineer in Samsung, and I have led the development and collaboration with Google for CameraX on Samsung Note 10 device. Today, we will learn how easy it is to develop camera applications on Android. We'll have introduction, code walkthroughs, and demos from the partners who are really excited to use CameraX and who work with us. When Google approached Samsung with CameraX, we were super thrilled and excited and believed that this is the API developers would love, and this is how camera development will occur on Android in the future. We were the first company to bring experiences from our native camera to the developers using CameraX. By collaborating with Google, we were able to bring awesome features from our camera to you. We are excited to have Android Camera Product Manager here with us to talk more about CameraX. Please welcome Vinit Modi.
Thanks, Raj. So let's start by setting some context. Many of you know camera development is hard. Why is that? The first is you have to account for a variety of OS flavors within your application. Next, it's really, really hard to get a consistent experience across a wide variety of devices, from entry-level to flagships. And finally, the Camera 2 API is very powerful but difficult to master. To address these pain points, we've introduced CameraX into the ecosystem. CameraX is a Jetpack-based camera support library which you statically compile into your application. Now, CameraX is completely decoupled from all the Android dessert releases, which means it works all the way back to API 21, and it works across 90% of existing devices in the market today. Next, we've taken on the burden to ensure a consistent experience across a wide variety of Android devices. Let me talk a little bit about that. There are a couple of layers to this. The first is we've built a dedicated CameraX test lab with boxes that have phones on a gyro that rotates. What this does, it takes end-to-end pictures like a real application, does rotation, orientation, taking a picture, make sure that the aspect ratio is correct. Everything that you would do in your own camera applications. The layer underneath that is a series of tests, unit tests, integration tests, functional tests, all of this across hundreds and hundreds of devices on the emulator, all to make sure that your applications can be robust out of the box. And finally, we've made the API very easy to use. Raj here in a few minutes will walk through how exactly that is the case. Let's walk through a conceptual model of a sample camera app. Imagine that camera app is using the Camera 2 public API in the app today. Underneath, Camera 2 calls the hardware abstraction layer, or the HAL. In this case, several device-specific quirks can translate and be seen into your application if you're not careful. In the same conceptual model, if that camera app is using CameraX, then all the device-specific quirks are hidden from you. We ensure that things like aspect ratio, getting the preview up on screen, getting an image of the right resolution is all done automatically and given to you across all devices. Now, there are a lot of advanced developers out there, and so we understand the need for control. And so we've provided an interoperability, an experimental way for Camera 2 and CameraX to coexist. Finally, we're super thrilled to say that CameraX will be in beta later this year. This means a stable API. The API is not going to change. And this means you can roll that into production. We also are standing behind a lot of the testing. And so if you see issues in production, if you see issues on specific devices, you can file via public bug tracker. You can contact us on the Google group, and we're more than happy to address those device-specific quirks. Finally, I really want to thank Samsung for their partnership and leadership on bringing great experiences to developers. When the ecosystem binds together, we can really provide unique experiences to developers. Samsung has worked closely with us to ensure basic functionality on existing devices is as optimized as possible with CameraX. And they were critical in helping define new APIs for the new Note 10 device. So thank you, Samsung, and now back to Raj.
Thank you, Vinit, for the introduction. Let's do a little more deep dive on CameraX. CameraX is intelligently designed based on the use case approach. The design model makes CameraX really simple, abstracts the complexity associated with developing the camera applications, and covers most of the use cases that are needed by majority of the developers. You simply ask, what do you want to do with your camera? Where do you want to send the output? And when to start and stop. CameraX has two parts. One is a core. The core handles use cases like preview, when you start the camera application. It handles the image capture scenario, and it also handles the image analysis. As Vinit said, CameraX is backward compatible on 90% of Android devices. These CameraX core features works across the Android ecosystem on any device running Android. CameraX also has a second part, the CameraX extensions. The extensions support features like auto, night, bokeh, HDR, beauty, and more features that are going to come that are very specific to hardware and released by certain manufacturers or only supported on certain devices. Now, let's see how easy it is to code in CameraX. The first thing in a camera application is to do preview or set the viewfinder. Let's see how easy it is to do it. So first step is to configure a preview. This code is in Kotlin, and you use preview config or a builder to build the config. Once you do the set the configuration, you create a preview use case object. You can see here that the APIs are very simple and based on use case. You're doing a preview, so you just create the preview use case by passing the preview config. When active, the preview gives out the preview output, and you need to handle that. Currently, you can either use the preview output, attach it to the texture view. In future, you can do it to the GL renderer, but currently, you can attach it to the texture view. Now that the app has been configured, you have to attach it to the life cycle. The reason for this line of code is that CameraX is lifecycle aware. If you have developed camera for Android, you know how hard it is to open a camera and how complex the closing sequence is. But with CameraX, it automatically takes care of by itself. All you have to do is attach the preview to your application lifecycle. So when the application is running, your camera preview is running, it's active, and once you close your application, it takes care of the complex sequence of closing down the camera. You can also use other lifecycles here, not just activity, like you can use fragment or any other lifecycle that are supported in Android. So that was the setup for preview. With just simple code like this, you have the preview running on your application on your user's device. Once the preview is set up, a typical scenario for users is to open your camera and take a picture. Let's see how easy the code is to take a picture using the CameraX. So just like the preview configuration, you first set up the image capture config. Once you have done, the rotation is trickier in Android, so CameraX handled that. You just have to set the rotation, and it takes care of whether the device is in portrait mode, landscape mode, and write the correct EXIF data, and you don't have to worry about it. And once the config is set up, you create the image capture use case. And as we have seen previously, you need to bind it to the lifecycle. Here I'm showing that I'm binding both image capture and the preview if you were writing the code. So that was the full setup for image capture. So what happened to attaching the output, right? How do you handle the output? As I mentioned, in the typical scenario, a user clicks a button to take a picture. Let's say your onClick function is called when the user clicks the button. You have a file that will be the destination for your picture. And then you call imagecapture.takePicture. As you can see again here, the APIs are very simple, and based on use case approach, it makes it easier to develop and code. And in the TakePicture API, you can set the listeners or callback functions where you can handle what needs to be happen if there is an error or what needs to happen after an image is taken. I'll leave this for a second for you to see how simple the code is. We are very happy that we were able to partner with one of our big application vendor in Korea, Snow. They have millions of install base in Korea, and we worked with them to use CameraX when we were developing with Google to get developer feedback. And I want to show you a quick demo of all the use cases we spoke today. So you can see that the camera app opened, and we are able to see the preview. This is the preview code that is running. Now, it is also doing the image analysis phase. If you set an analyzer, you can analyze the stream, and the stickers are applied on the face. And at the end, when the user is happy with the stickers they have selected, they can just click a button, and that's your image capture scenario. When Snow worked with us and Google on this project, they expressed that the API was really easy to use. The API names were very reasonable, as I have mentioned earlier. There was no need to manage thread. It automatically takes care of it. You just have to do it on one thread. And the CameraX is lifecycle aware, and it does the management, which was another feedback we received. That was CameraX intro and the core. And I would like to invite Girish to do a deep dive on the extension part. Please welcome Girish.
Raj, a very good afternoon to all of you. I am Girish. I have been working with Samsung since past 15 years on computational imaging. I have been part of core camera feature development for Samsung flagship product. Today, in the beginning of this session, Vinit from Google said, camera development is hard. I experienced the same, and I believe you too. Although camera technology evolved a lot in last few years, but still developing easy to use pro-grade camera feature is still a hard problem. Thanks to Google for introducing CameraX. CameraX, in particularly CameraX extension, provides a big opportunity to camera developers to differentiate their use cases and applications. So today, I'm here to tell you how easy it is to use Samsung's pro-grade camera features with simple and generic CameraX interface. Let me begin with our latest flagship, Samsung Galaxy Note 10, to tell you more about what is pro-grade camera and pro-grade features. Samsung Galaxy Note 10 camera comes with multi-sensors. It has tele, wide, and ultra-wide camera, which helps you to capture different perspective of the same scene. It also has big pixels and dual aperture, which helps you to capture excellent images and videos in different lighting conditions. It has dual pixels, which helps for quick and fast autofocusing. And it has depth vision camera, which enables new AR experience. So overall, the powerful camera system really makes Galaxy Note 10 a pro-grade camera. Now let me show you some spectacular images captured with Galaxy Note 10. The first one is the pleasing bokeh effect, stunning bokeh effect. In the bokeh effect, you can see that the foreground is separated from the background, and we have applied a pleasing DSLR kind of blur effect onto the background. For bokeh effect, we have multi-camera based depth intelligence, which compute depth for every pixel, and which in turn helps us to compute the distance of every object in a scene. And after that, we separate foreground from the background, and gradually we apply DSLR blur onto the background. These are the other two images captured in two different lighting conditions. Typically, when you capture image in night, you see a lot of area not visible to the user, and there is a graininess or grainy noise in the image. But Samsung Night Shot pulls more light into the scene majorly because of big pixel, dual aperture, and on top of that, we have multi-frame composition technology, which helps to reduce the noise in night image. If you look at HDR image, it tries to capture every aspect of the scene majorly through its high dynamic range. In this image, you can see that grass, greenery, sun, sky, everything is captured without overexposing or underexposing. So to capture images in different lighting conditions, Samsung has multi-frame composition technology. It intelligently understands the lighting conditions, and after that it takes multiple pictures and use different algorithms to compose to form a single image, and which helps you to get best pro-grade images with your pro-grade camera. So in summary, Samsung camera system efficiently exploits the capability of camera sensors, multi-camera, multi-frame composition technology, and intelligence to provide best and pro-grade experience on Galaxy Note 10. So after seeing this capability, I'm sure each one of you would love to use these features in your camera applications. But unfortunately, these features were restricted only to Samsung camera. And there was a demand to open these features to third-party camera developers. So thanks to Google, because now through CameraX extension, it would be easy and it would be possible to use this CameraX extension in your application. So in CameraX, as Raj and Vinit already explained, there are two parts, camera core and camera extension. Camera core part already covered by Raj, and we are supporting all extension on Galaxy Note 10. We are supporting auto, night, bokeh, HDR, and beauty with simple and generic use case. We also have planned to propagate these features in other Samsung devices, and we are also discussing with Google to add more advanced features through CameraX interface. Now, the next question will come to your mind is how much effort needed to use or integrate this CameraX extension in your application? Just 2 lines of code. Yes, you heard it right. You just need to add 2 lines of code in your camera application to use any CameraX extension to get this pro-grade feature capability. These 2 lines of code completely abstracts the complexity of underlying feature. I will give example of HDR. HDR is quite complex to implement. If you want to implement HDR, then you need to have algorithm to understand lighting condition, then you need to decide how many frames to capture, what should be the exposure value of every frame, different camera parameters. Then the bracketing means multi-capture of the frames, then when frames comes, composing it together to get the best out of that, different vision processing algorithm, encoding, all that very complex. You don't have to do anything. You get all this complex pro-grade functionality when you use these 2 lines of code. So broadly, these extensions we are classifying into 2 categories. We have out of 5, 3 extensions which majorly enhances image quality, and other 2 extensions majorly are the special effects which user love to take a picture and then upload onto SNS. So let us start with image quality extension first. So let me start with HDR extension first. So here you have 2 images. Left side image is taken without HDR extension and right side image is taken with HDR extension. Wow, a big difference. You can clearly see in the right side image, full dynamic range, a very good texture on the tree, very good colors, and very good sharpness. So overall, when you get image with HDR extension, it is much superior when you compare with the left side image. What does it mean? It means if you don't use HDR extension and if you use any existing Google camera interface, it could be camera 2 or camera 1. In that case, you will get image which is like which you are seeing on the left side. But if you use HDR extension, then you will get right side images. So to make this comparison more fair, what we have done, we develop a sample application, and with simple UI, with simple UI, you can just enable or disable any extension. So when you enable, it invokes that particular extension. When you disable, it falls back to Camera 2 API. So that on the same Galaxy Note 10 device, we can easily see a comparison with and without. Next is the comparison of night extension. So left side is the image with night extension off. Right side is the image with night extension on. So you can clearly see the difference. There are many areas which are not clearly visible on the left side are visible properly on the right side image. You can see the texture on the grass, leaves, and most important, I was talking about the graininess or grainy noise in the image, which you can look at the sky region. So which is visible when night extension is off, but when it is on, it is totally smoothened out. Next is the auto extension. This is a premium extension, and I'm very sure once you understand this extension, you would love to use this extension in your code. So before I talk about image quality difference, I would like to talk about the benefit of this auto extension. Typically, in any camera application, we see there are 3 options to the user. There's a normal capture, there is HDR mode, there is night mode. And there is always a confusion to the user which mode to use and which lighting condition. Technically also, it is challenging problem to solve, but Samsung has solved this problem with auto extension. So when you use auto extension, it intelligently understands the lighting condition and it automatically decides which multi-frame composition technology, technique and algorithms to apply. So it automatically decides when to apply HDR, when to apply low light. So you can see this image. In this case, auto extension understood the lighting conditions and it automatically decided to apply HDR multi-frame composition technique to improve this image. You can see a big difference in the floor, on the side wall and outside. The full dynamic range is very well covered when auto extension is on. And this is the second image. So this is a night situation, night shot. So auto extension intelligently understood it and it applies night shot multi-frame composition technique to enhance this image. So we covered all three major extensions which are majorly used to improve image quality. Now we will talk about two important extensions which are very popular and people love to use it for front camera and back camera. So let me start with beauty effect. So here again we have a comparison. One is beauty off, which is on left side, and beauty on, which is on right side. So you can see the rough patches and blemishes are smoothened out on the right side. But at the same time, it is not overdoing it. It is done in such a way so that it is smoothened out, but it has not impacted the the naturalness of the image or naturalness of the face is still preserved in the beauty effect. Next is the bokeh effect, which everybody love. And the bokeh effect we have been improving in every flagship. It is majorly because our multi-camera system is becoming more and more powerful, and because of that, more accurate depth information is available. And it is majorly because of that, our bokeh effect is also improving in every flagship. So you can see the foreground is very nicely separated from the background and a very pleasant DSLR kind of blur effect is applied onto the background. So when you want to evaluate any bokeh effect, then the major criteria is how foreground is separated from the background at the boundary region. So you can clearly see that area is marked here in the image. It is very nice, foreground is very nicely separated from the background, and it is just giving a DSLR kind of impact onto the overall image. So we covered all 5 major extensions. Out of 5, 3 are majorly related for image quality enhancement, and we have seen there's a big impact or big change when you use this extension compared to the normal interface when you use. And we also have seen 2 major effects, special effects. One is beauty, another is bokeh, and this pro-grade beauty and bokeh functionality also you can use. And we started with a tone that camera development is hard, but we said all these extensions you can use with just 2 lines of code. So now it's time to really understand if you want to use this extension, how easy it is. So I would like to invite my colleague Wasim to come over the stage and to show you how these 2 lines of code can be used to add auto extension in your code. Over to Wasim. And I'm also inviting Raj.
Thank you, Girish. Good afternoon, everyone. So let's have a look on how we can enable auto extension in CameraX by having a quick code walkthrough. First, we need to configure the preview. So we create a preview config builder. Here, we can set the preview parameters like resolution, camera IDs, etc. So this is the just 2 lines of code we were talking about. Over here, we create a preview extender object and calls enable extension on it. This internally takes care of enabling the extension by CameraX. Then we just create a preview use case using the same configuration. Image captures follow the same pattern as preview. And to configure image capture, we use image capture config build. And then we create an image capture extender and again call an enable extension on it. And then we create an image capture use case. Once we have both the use cases ready, we bind it to CameraX by calling bind to lifecycle API. So with just these 2 lines of code, one can enable auto extension in their CameraX application and utilize Samsung's pro-grade camera feature in their app. I am very excited to demonstrate an easy and seamless integration of CameraX extension by one of our partner, eBay. With over 100 million installs on Android alone, eBay provides a diverse and inclusive marketplace where people can find just about anything they're looking for. So eBay has noticed that its user, when selling an item, often take images that has lots of background object behind the item. So CameraX provide live focus feature that blurs the background and create more attractive images. So as you can see, without CameraX feature, it's focusing on both the bottle and the Android. And if you turn on the focus, it just focuses on the Android swag. Maybe the lighting condition over here is not that well. So we have captured another image just outside this room. So as you can see, so you can see the difference. It's only focusing on that Android toy. So eBay is able to scale out this feature Android-wide in an easier-to-implement API. And eBay has been very satisfied with CameraX, and they will be rolling out this very soon in their application. Thank you.
Thank you, Wasim. So you have seen how easy CameraX makes developing camera applications in Android. We want you to go check out CameraX and switch from your current application development to CameraX and take advantage of taking hardware-specific features like HDR Auto on OEM products. I would like to thank Vinit for joining us today from Google and giving the introduction on CameraX. I want to thank our partners, Snow and eBay, working with us and providing feedback to make our CameraX core use cases and extensions better. I want to thank Girish and Wasim, flying all the way from Bangalore to share technical details on CameraX with you guys. Thank you, all of you, for being here and supporting us and learning about CameraX. We have a booth here in the exhibition session. So if you have any questions or you want to learn more about CameraX, please come talk to us. The whole team will be there, and we'll be able to answer all your questions. Thank you.